Welcome back, and today we are joined by a legend. This is the D50. Now, I've been lucky enough to find one of these at quite a reasonable price, but it does come with some issues. Now, this is one classic synth, and it has its own language. Look at this, it's like hieroglyphics, a language from another time. So it's got a bit of crackle with the volume, and it's also got these buttons that don't actually work. Now, this means we can't actually load new samples or switch between all the samples that are available on there. So that's really quite annoying. So we're going to try and open this up and see if we can work it out. I do love some of the features of this synth, like this joystick. And we do have a card, so we can use some sounds, but not all of them. Now, when I bought this, I was given this lovely little surprise of a bag of screws. Now, this is not usually a good sign, but it was a good price. The guy seemed nice enough, so I'll let him off. Thankfully, we've got some service notes that are available online. This shows where the screws should go, so I'm not too worried. I think it's great that companies provide stuff like this, and sad that other companies such as like iPhones don't. I love looking inside instruments like this at the details. Look at all these chips. What does this guy do? No idea. And we've got all these wires going all over the place. It is a bit of a mystery, and impressive how much technology you get. This chip was actually quite shiny. That must do something important. And then this one's got some type of code on it. I wonder what the code means. We know our problem is with the buttons, and hopefully not with the actual computing board. If it's something to do with that, it will be game over. So this is the board. We need to unscrew it and take it out. There's a great video by Jorb showing us how to do that, so I'll link that in the description. And hopefully it's just a similar issue to his. As you can see, there's a bit of dirt on this board, and on this front edge there's a bit of like yellow stuff. So is this from like a spilt drink? So this ties up well with some of the switches actually being broken, and that's a good sign. But when we test them with a multimeter, we actually find that the switches seem to work absolutely fine, which is not what we want to see. So if the switches work fine, then the problem must be somewhere else. And this kind of had me scratch my head for quite a while, as if the problem's not on the switchboard, it's going to be quite complicated, and maybe this is the one project where we haven't come up with a solution and I've bought a bit of a dud. But while playing around, I did notice that from this side here there's like a bridge, but if we kind of scrape away the paint to reveal the trace, there's actually no connection across this point. So yeah, moving the multimeter around, we can see that there is no connection across this, but we can see it looks fine. It looks completely fine. So what is going on in this region? So if we look really close, we just see like a light scratch, and is that enough to kind of cause an issue? So if we zoom right in, we can see it's actually like a micro crack on the board, and at these locations the track has actually been damaged and the signal just isn't passing across anymore. So this was like really hard to spot, but thankfully playing around with the multimeter, checking everything, just being pragmatic of thinking of how this works, how does that switch signal get across to the other locations, has allowed us to come up with a solution. So to get around this, I have soldered in some jumper wires, and for the other issue we had some crackling of the volume pots. So these are sliders, and having a look at the soldering on these, we can see that there's some rings of black which indicate to me that the solder's actually broken on them. So this would explain what we're getting, where it's crackling, it's not consistent, and if you rock the part back and forwards you can get some signal. So that's easy enough to kind of resolder. So I just reflowed that and built it back up, and we have some sounds again, which is really cool. All the buttons seem to be working, so I can now pull sounds off through MIDI, as previously we couldn't actually turn off the write protect, which was really annoying. But yeah, so we've got this synth back and running. The cat seems happy, so stick around and we'll have a play with this in the future. We'll see what it sounds like. But until then,